Part 1. The Apex Coalition explained across the galaxy. There were many types of planets. Some were peaceful and full of life. Others were harsh, dangerous, and nearly impossible to live on. These deadly places were known as Death worlds, where everything tried to kill you. The air could be toxic, the gravity too strong, the weather violent, or the wildlife incredibly dangerous. Most intelligent species in the galaxy stayed far away from Death worlds. But there was one group that didn't just survive. They ruled them. They were known as the Apex Coalition. The Apex Coalition was made up of the strongest, deadliest species ever known. Each of them had evolved on their own Death world and become kings of their environments. They were powerful, skilled, and feared by the entire galaxy. There were three main species in the coalition: the Craftthor, huge reptilian creatures with thick, armored skin. They lived on a volcanic world full of lava flows, earthquakes, and extreme heat. They could walk through fire and survive explosions. The Zernak, fast, silent predators with claws, night vision, and hunting instincts. Their home planet was frozen solid, with temperatures colder than space. They hunted in packs and never missed their target. The Zarn, insect-like creatures with sharp limbs and hive minds. Their planet was covered in acidic swamps and toxic gases. But the Zarn didn't just live there, they thrived. These species formed the Apex Coalition and believed they were the most powerful beings in the universe. They had fought wars, conquered planets, and even forced the galactic government to fear them. No one dared challenge the Apex. Why would they? The Apex ruled the Death worlds. To them, no other species could survive the kinds of worlds they did. Then, one day, a Zarn probe discovered something strange. It picked up signs of intelligent life on a newly charted planet called Earth. What made Earth special wasn't just that it had life, it was that Earth was rated a Class 15 Death world. That shocked everyone. Death worlds were ranked based on how dangerous they were. Most species came from Class 1 to Class 4 planets. The Apex worlds were ranked between Class 8 and Class 10. Even those were incredibly deadly. But Earth was Class 15. That number didn't even make sense. The air was breathable but could change in a second with storms. The wildlife ranged from giant predators to venomous insects. Earth had earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis, and ice storms. Even more dangerous, it had humans. At first, the Apex laughed. Humans? Small, soft-skinned, hair-covered bipeds? How could something like that live on a Class 15 Death world? The Craftthor. General Galvek growled, "We will show them what true strength is. Let the Drop Legion handle it." The Apex sent scouts to Earth, probes, then small teams of warriors. None came back. At first, they thought it was just bad luck. Then they sent more. Still, nothing returned. Every Apex scout vanished. Some sent back damaged recordings brief. Flashes of humans ambushing them, setting traps, or destroying their equipment. This wasn't expected. Usually, when the Apex arrived on a planet, the locals either surrendered or ran. But humans weren't doing that. They were fighting back, and winning. The Apex leaders grew angry and confused. No one had ever dared kill their soldiers before, let alone entire squads. Humans were acting like predators. They were hunting the hunters. So the Apex decided to send a message. A final warning: they gathered a huge army, the Apex Drop Legion. This force included thousands of elite soldiers from all three species. Their dropships were armed with the best weapons the Coalition had. They weren't going to Earth for peace. They were going to crush the humans, conquer the planet, and prove once again that the Apex ruled all Death worlds. Their mistake? They thought humans would be like every other species they'd faced. But Earth wasn't just a Death world. It was a world that trained its people to adapt, fight, and survive every single day. And the Apex were about to find out the hard way. They weren't the only ones who knew how to rule a Death world. Part 2. The first mistake explained the Apex Coalition was angry. Their scouts and warriors had gone to Earth and vanished. Killed by humans. That had never happened before. No other species had dared to fight the Apex, let alone win too. Punish Earth and show the galaxy who still ruled the Death Worlds. The Apex sent one of their strongest military forces, the Apex Drop Legion. This was no small group. It was a full invasion force made up of 100 dropships, each packed with weapons and soldiers. Over 5,000 elite warriors from the Kravthar, Zernok, and Zarn species, deadly alien war machines, including plasma rifles, energy shields, and armored vehicles. The first landing zone was deep in the Amazon jungle, a place filled with thick trees, dangerous animals, and high humidity. The Apex thought it was the perfect place to test the strength of the humans. After all, they had fought on worse terrain, but this was their first big mistake. From the moment they landed, the jungle was too quiet. There were no signs of humans, no direct attacks, no messages, just ... silence. That made the Apex uneasy, but they didn't think much of it. The Kravthar marched forward with heavy armor. The Zernak spread out in hunting teams. The Zarn climbed through the trees. Then it happened. An explosion ripped through one of the squads. A Kravthar soldier was thrown into a tree. Screams followed. Then another blast. Traps had been set. Clever, hidden traps that used parts of the jungle to trigger pressure plates, tripwires, and mines. The Apex were under attack, but they couldn't see the enemy. Suddenly, humans appeared from the jungle wearing camouflage that blended perfectly with the trees and leaves. They moved fast. They didn't use heavy armor, but they used smart tactics. Shoot, move, hide, repeat. One human shouted from behind a tree, "Welcome to Earth!" Zernak's sniper tried to respond, but before it could aim, it was taken out by a human bullet, clean, silent, and perfect. The Apex soldiers were trained for open battles, direct confrontations. But this wasn't that. This was guerrilla warfare, jungle warfare. And the humans were experts. In just 2 days, half of the Apex Drop Legion was dead or missing. The survivors tried to escape, but their dropships were destroyed by hidden rockets. Human soldiers didn't fight to win territory, they fought to wipe out the enemy. Some humans used old-fashioned rifles. Others had energy weapons taken from fallen Apex soldiers, reverse-engineered and improved in just days. Humans didn't just fight, they adapted back in orbit. The Apex commanders were in shock. "This isn't possible," growled General Galvek. "They're supposed to be weak." But the data said otherwise. Every battle showed the same thing. Humans set ambushes. Humans used terrain to their advantage. Humans attacked weak points. Humans learned after every fight. What scared the Apex even more was this: the humans weren't afraid. They weren't begging for mercy. They weren't hiding. We're hunting the hunters. One Zernak commander tried to call for help. Before he could send a signal, a human commando sliced through the communication wires and left a note. "Try harder." The Apex had never faced a species like this. On other death worlds, the Apex were the top predators. Everything else either ran or died. But Earth wasn't like that. Humans weren't prey. They were something far more dangerous. They were Death World natives who had learned to fight not just nature, but themselves. The Apex Drop Legion, once considered unbeatable, was reduced to hiding in caves and calling for rescue. Some began to panic. Others refused to believe what was happening. But it was real. The Apex had made a terrible mistake. They had come to Earth thinking they would conquer it easily. Instead, they walked into a planet-sized trap. And the humans, they were just getting started. Part 3. The Human Death World Mind, explained after the disaster in the Amazon. The Apex Coalition finally realized something was terribly wrong. Their Drop Legion, made of their strongest warriors, had been defeated not by a superior army, but by humans using jungle tactics, traps, and knowledge of their home. The Apex commanders were furious, but they were also confused. The humans didn't have thick hides like the Kravthar. They didn't have sharp claws or thermal vision, like the Zernak. They couldn't spit acid like the Zarn. Physically, humans looked weak. So how were they winning? To find out, the Apex started studying the battle footage. They watched recordings from helmet cams and damaged drones. More concerned they became, One word kept coming up: adaptability. Humans didn't just react to danger, they changed in real time. The trap didn't work once, they changed it the next time. If a weapon failed, they built a better one. If the soldier was wounded, others learned from it. The humans weren't acting like prey. They were acting like predators who thought ahead. Elder Exer, a Zernak tactician, explained it clearly. They're not the strongest. They're not the fastest. But they think in ways we never have to. That was the secret. The apex species had grown strong because their bodies could survive harsh worlds. But humans? Humans had no natural weapons. Earth had tried to kill them for thousands of years with wild animals. Freezing cold, deadly heat, floods, volcanoes, and plagues. And they still survive. How? Because humans evolved something better than claws or armor. They evolved brains that never stopped learning. The apex also began to study Earth's history. What they found shocked them even more. While most species avoided war, humans had thousands of years of it. They had fought small wars, world wars, civil wars, and wars that lasted for generations. They built weapons beyond reason: nuclear bombs, guided missiles, drones, biochemical tools. But they didn't just fight with strength, they fought with strategy. They used terrain, timing, and tactics. They studied their enemies and exploited weaknesses. They built alliances, lied when needed, and always kept a backup plan. The apex realized something chilling. Humanity had made war into a science, even worse. They practiced it. Constantly, the coalition had evolved to rule a death world. One death world each. But humanity had conquered their own death world against all odds, with no natural advantages, just cleverness, teamwork, and relentless effort. The apex had long believed they were unbeatable because they had mastered survival. But humans had done something different. They had dominated their own death world and then turned that skill outward. Another terrifying discovery came when the apex studied Earth's environment. Earth wasn't just one kind of deadly, it was every kind of deadly. Frozen mountains, scorching deserts, toxic jungles, deep oceans filled with monsters, storms that could flatten cities, wiped out millions. Any one of these would have killed off most species. But humans lived in all of them. They didn't avoid danger, they moved toward it, climbed Everest, explored the Arctic, dove to the bottom of the ocean, sent rockets into space. To the apex, this behavior was madness, but to humans, it was curiosity and challenge. The coalition finally understood. Humans had built a civilization not just in spite of danger, but because of it. That made them something new. Something worse than an apex predator, it made them death world engineers, creatures who turned survival into an art form. One Krafthar general said it best: "We train for battle. They were born in it." Now the apex were afraid because the humans weren't just defending Earth. They were learning. Every battle made them smarter. Every captured weapon made them stronger. And they had one advantage the apex had never faced. They never gave up. Back on Earth, the humans weren't celebrating their victories. They were preparing for more. They built better traps, graded their armor, trained in teams, learned apex languages, rewired enemy weapons, sent drones into orbit. This was no longer just a fight for survival. Humanity was about to take the fight to the apex, and the coalition had no idea what was coming next. Part 4. Turning Point. Explained. The apex coalition was stunned. Their best soldiers had been defeated on Earth. Their strongest weapons had failed. Their confidence was shattered. For the first time in thousands of years, the apex predators were afraid. But instead of admitting defeat, the coalition tried again. They believed they still had the upper hand. They had more troops, more ships, more technology. So they prepared a second, larger invasion. This time, they didn't hold back. The apex brought in massive plasma tanks, capable of leveling cities, flying war beasts, grown in labs to fight in Earth skies, orbital bombardment drones, designed to destroy everything from space. Reinforcements from all three apex species thousands more Krafthar, Zernak and Zarn. They believed this wave would finally break the humans, but Earth was ready. The humans weren't caught off guard this time. In fact, they had been preparing the entire time. Every trap that worked before was rebuilt stronger and smarter. Cities were evacuated, military bases dug underground, and secret bunkers were activated all across the planet. Earth was no longer just defending itself, it was setting a trap. When the second Apex fleet arrived, they expected easy victory. Instead, their ships were jammed by electronic warfare. Their drones were hijacked midair. Human satellites had learned how to block or redirect their signals. In the skies, human fighter jets flew alongside stolen Apex warcraft. On the ground, armored tanks of human design, tough, fast, and durable, moved into action. Some were even built from captured Apex metal, remade in Earth's underground labs. Then came the human counterattack. It wasn't loud or flashy, it was precise. Small mobile squads moved through the chaos. These weren't just soldiers, they were engineers, hackers, scouts, and fighters trained for asymmetric warfare. They didn't try to hold ground, they just made sure the enemy couldn't either. In the icy mountains of Asia, human teams lured Zernak packs into avalanches. In the burning deserts of Africa, guerrilla units set fuel traps that burned up Apex artillery. In the ruins of cities, humans used tight alleys, underground tunnels, and rooftops to control the battlefield, and everywhere they went, they took notes. Humans didn't just fight. They studied. Every battle was a lesson. Every loss became a plan. Every Apex victory was short-lived. One Apex commander said, "They fight like they've already died, like they have nothing to lose." But that wasn't true. Humans weren't hopeless. They were angry. This wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about payback. The Apex had come to conquer Earth, but they had killed people, destroyed homes, hurt civilians, and now humanity was going to make them regret it. In orbit, human scientists had reverse-engineered captured Apex ships. They upgraded them with Earth-made weapons, stealth systems, and smarter AI. These new ships, Frankenstein-like hybrids of Earth, and alien tech launched silent attacks on Apex carriers. Whole enemy fleets went dark before they knew they were being hunted. Back on the ground, captured Apex warriors were interrogated not with torture, but with clever words and psychology. Humans learned everything: Apex battle plans, technology weaknesses, even their communication codes. Then they used that information to turn Apex weapons against their creators. One Krafthar base was destroyed by its own drone swarm, reprogrammed by a 19-year-old hacker from Eastern Europe. A Zarn tunnel network was collapsed using deep sound waves created from old Earth mining tech. Each battle became a story, and those stories spread. Other galactic species, once terrified of the Apex, were now watching humans do the impossible. Some even started helping in secret, sending data, sabotaging Apex supplies, hoping Earth might win. And it looked like it might. The Apex Coalition started to panic. They couldn't understand it. How were humans surviving so long? How did they learn so fast? Why weren't they giving up? The answer was simple. Earth was the greatest death world of them all, and humans were its final evolution. This was the turning point. What started as an invasion had become a war, and now, for the first time in history, the Apex were losing. Part 5. The Fall of the Apex. Explained after months of intense fighting, the Apex Coalition was on the edge of collapse. They had come to Earth as conquerors. Now they were survivors, tired, scattered, and hunted. Earth had not only resisted the Apex invasion, it had done something no species had ever done before, broken the myth of Apex invincibility. But humanity wasn't finished. Now it was their turn to strike back. The world's governments had united like never before. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders from every country worked together, sharing everything they had learned from fighting the Apex. With captured weapons and technology, humans built something terrifying: a counter-invasion force. This new army wasn't just built for defense, it was designed to take the war to the Apex homeworlds. The mission was called Operation Homefire. 3 Apex worlds were selected for the strike: Kravthal, the volcanic world of the Kravthar; species Zern, the frozen hunting grounds of the Zernak; Zarsi, the acidic swamp world of the Zern, insectoids. Each world had once been considered impossible to invade. No species had ever dared set foot on those planets, until now. Strike 1. Kravthal. The surface of Kravthal was covered in lava rivers, molten rock, and storms of ash. The Kravthar believed no army could fight there. They were wrong. Human soldiers landed in thermal-resistant armor, reinforced with materials made from Apex alloys. Backed by drones and remote tanks, they advanced through the volcanoes like it was a walk in the park. When the Kravthar saw the humans walking through fire, they panicked. One human officer broadcast a message to the entire planet: "You brought war to Earth. We're just returning the favor." Within 3 days, the main Kravthar command center was reduced to ash by human hands. Strike 2. Zern. On the icy world of Zern, the Zernak believed they were unbeatable. They were natural hunters. Their vision, hearing, and stealth were unmatched, but humans came prepared. They arrived with invisibility cloaks, heat-resistant suits, and cold-adapted AI drones. They used the snow for cover, set traps under the ice. And when the Zernak tried to run into the mountains, the humans followed with climbing gear and thermal scopes. The Apex hunters became the hunted. A single sniper team, using wind, terrain, and patience, took out an entire Zernak war council in one night. Strike 3. Zarsi was the most toxic planet of them all. The air was acidic, the water burned skin, and the ground could dissolve steel. The Zarn thought no one could survive there, but Earth had already prepared. Humans used nanotech suits that filtered toxins, hardened under pressure, and healed damage in real time. They launched swarm bots that floated over the swamps, scanning for hive entrances. One by one, the Zarn nests were vaporized with targeted explosives, sonic blasts, or high-heat bombs. No human was left behind. Zarn Queen, who had ruled for centuries, was found and captured alive. She asked why they had come. The human soldier replied, "Because you killed our people." And Earth never forgets. The collapse of the Apex after the destruction of their 3 strongest homeworlds, the Apex Coalition, fell apart. Leaders turned on each other. Commanders fled. Soldiers surrendered. They had never imagined a species from a far-off blue planet could bring them down. But humanity had done exactly that. Not with the most advanced tech. Not with the biggest ships, but with endless will, constant adaptation, and a refusal to quit. The rest of the galaxy watched in shock. Species that once feared the Apex now looked toward Earth with new respect and new fear. Because Earth wasn't just a death world. It was the worst one ever recorded. And humans weren't just survivors. They were masters of survival. Epilogue. A message to the stars in the weeks after the war. A message was sent out from Earth to every known species in the galaxy. It was short and simple. We didn't start this war, but we finished it. If you come for Earth, be ready to pay the price. We don't want war, but we're not afraid of it. We don't rule death worlds. We come from one. That message echoed across space, and every species, big or small, strong or peaceful, took notice. From that day forward, when anyone spoke of death worlds, they didn't mention the Kravthar, the Zernak, or the Zarn. They spoke one name: humanity, because the Apex believed they ruled the death worlds until humanity arrived. Would you like a YouTube video script version of this full story next? You said, "Give me 5 image prompt related to above story." ChatGPT said, "Here are 5 image prompts you can use to generate visuals related to the HFY story." They believed they ruled the death worlds until humanity arrived. 1. Human jungle ambush versus Apex troops. Prompt: a group of camouflaged human soldiers launching a jungle ambush on towering alien warriors, massive reptilian, insectoid, and predatory aliens in high-tech armor mid-thick Amazon rainforest. explosions, gunfire, and hidden traps in a lush, humid environment. Cinematic lighting with dramatic tension. 2. Human invasion of a volcanic alien world. Kravthal. Prompt: heavily armored human soldiers in thermal suits marching through rivers of lava and volcanic eruptions, battling monstrous reptilian aliens in a fiery, smoke-filled landscape. Futuristic weaponry. Drone support in the sky, glowing lava beneath their feet. Heat distortion and molten colors dominate the scene. 3. Human snipers and snow-hunting alien predators. Zern. Prompt: human sniper team in white stealth gear, lying hidden in deep snow among icy cliffs, targeting alien hunters with claws and glowing red eyes in a frozen tundra under an overcast sky. High-tech scopes, breath visible in cold air, and a tense, silent atmosphere. 4. Humans with nanotech armor and toxic swamps. RC. Prompt: futuristic human soldiers in sleek, reflective nanotech suits navigating an alien acid swamp. Green mist, toxic pools, strange glowing plants, and towering insectoid hives in the background. Swarm drones hover above, scanning for enemies. Mood is eerie but determined.